Okay, so in this chapter we're going to move on a little bit now. We're going to look at using multiple objects. So most models will be made using more than one of these basic shapes. And I'm going to show you the basic workflow to do that now. So I'm going to bring in a box, and it doesn't matter about size. Feel free to change these when you're following along. You don't have to do it exactly as I do. But I'm going to also bring in a cylinder, okay? So click, and I'm going to put that at the side. Now, let's just suppose we want this cylinder to be on top of this block, okay? So let me just, I'm going to double this, I'm going to make that 50. And I want this cylinder to sit on top of this face here. Okay, so what we can do is we can look at the height. Our height, the height of this block is 20. Okay, so we know we can move this cylinder up by a certain amount. So if we move it up by 20, then we now know that the cylinder will sit on top of there. Okay, because it's 20 millimeters up and the box is 20 millimeters high. So it's at the right level, but we want to position it accurately. We want it in the center of this box, in the center both that way and in that direction. Okay, so what we do, we use a command up here, and in order to use this align command, we need to select both objects. Okay, so a couple of ways of doing that. We can either hold down the left button and just draw a window over both of them, and that's selected them, and you can see it says shapes 2. Or we can click one, hold down the shift button on the keyboard and click the other. Okay, and it does the same thing, it selects multiple objects. Why would you use one way rather than the other? Well, if you had lots of objects in here, you might not be able to draw a window without selecting objects you don't want to select. So in that case, shift click would be easier. And you can do shift click, you can do as many objects as you want. And if you have selected an object by accident, just with shift held, click it again and it will deselect it. Okay, so we have both objects selected now, and what we want to do is align them essentially. So by going up here, we click on this align command, and when we click it, we'll get these black circles at various parts. And it can look a bit confusing at first. It's fairly simple. These all mean the same on every object. So the dot in the middle means central. Okay, so it will align, if you click that, it will align all the selected objects centrally in this, along this line here. You can see we also have this line here with a central dot, and that will give us what we want by selecting it centrally in that direction. Now if we were to select centrally in height, what would happen is not what we want. They would be centralized in all directions. Okay, so I'll undo that last one, select the line again. What you can also do is select this. So we could have also selected this edge here, so that would have aligned both objects along this part, or we might align them on this end here. Okay, now in order to demonstrate the next one, I'm going to make this 10 by 10. Okay, and I'm going to select them and select align again. So we can also select it on either side of this block or in the middle. Okay, so we want it central in that plane there, and central in that plane there. Okay. We don't want to do anything in height. It's okay in height. We don't want it centralized to that side. Okay, it's fine as it is. So that is how you align objects, and you could do that with multiple objects. We could have had a sphere there as well. Okay, we select them all, align. I want them all, let's say there. Now the sphere has actually disappeared because it's inside of a block, so I'm just going to make this a bit smaller there. So we can align them there. Let me select that again. We could align them on that side or centrally. Okay, same again there, same again there, or centrally. And in height, it's going to look the same. Okay, so, and in height, because of more or less the same height, it will either align them all to the top, all to the bottom, all in the middle. We want it as it is. We want this one to sit on top, which it is. Okay, and actually let me keep that sphere there. Okay, so that's a line. So you will use that a lot. It can take a bit of getting used to, and things you can move in different ways. But it's one of the things. The more you use it, as you get your head into what's happening, it will become more self-explanatory. But please do play around with the align command and get used to using it, because that will be used a lot.